Hmm. Well, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here and let's wake up the football gods. You know, on a day like today, the coffee is so much more robust. That smell, it just wakes you up. You know, you just literally, I was just laying in there in bed and just enjoy, just thinking and reminiscing about the game that was last night. Oh my God. You know what's going to happen here today. People will say, oh, yeah, the Cowboys look good, but they didn't beat nobody. They were playing the Washington football teams. They're one of the worst teams in the NFL. You know, they just got dismantled by the Eagles and things. It doesn't really count. But it's funny because that team ended up beating Tampa Bay. That team right there. And we've seen the Jacksonville Jaguars beat right now the team that is leading the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills. We've seen the Cardinals lose to the Lions. Well, actually, we've seen the Cardinals losing lately to everybody. And we are opening up as a 3-point favorite going into Arizona in that game, by the way. I understand that, and I agree. Washington was shorthanded. Washington was banged up. Washington, you know, they brought their heated seats, and I think that they pissed the Cowboys off. Because you had to say, we're not like in Green Bay where it's cold. We have a roof. We have heat, central heat and air conditioning. It's not cold that you needed heated benches. Oh, maybe that heat was to heat up the players because they were literally fighting and taking swings at each other on the sidelines. How bad was that blowout? The Dallas Cowboys points record in a game is 59. Happened in 1968 and 1980. Remember the shootout that was Tony Romo versus Peyton Manning, Dallas Cowboys versus the Denver Broncos? Denver scored 51. We scored 49. Yeah, we scored more points than that game. That was clicking on all cylinders. You found so many different ways to score. Dak Prescott hit a running back, hit a wide receiver, hit a tight end, even hit an offensive lineman. Hell, I'm surprised he didn't throw a pass to himself because then he would have had the record. It's him and Kurt Warner as the only guys that have hit all 4 of those positions in a touchdown pass in a game. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. We're talking about complete domination. I know it's just one game, and I've always said the 2 things that I wanted from that game last night was get a victory and get out healthy. That's all I want. Because in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter anymore that 56-14 blowout than the 27-20 win we had 2 weeks ago. They both go down as a win. The only thing that's going to matter is how are you going to be able to deal with the next game after this one? Well, let's take a look. Zeke Elliott didn't have a lot of runs, but you can see he was able to eat. You see him actually having probably looking the best he's looked in 2 months. Tony Pollard, same thing, didn't have a lot of carries, but when he did, both of them were over 4 yards a carry. Crucial as the weather gets bad and late in the season. Then there's my quarterback, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, 4 touchdown passes, 330 yards in 3 quarters, a 133 QBR rating. The guy that they trashed, it's almost comical because yesterday morning's video, I played a clip from Get Up, And they were talking about, the Cowboys, they'll be one and done in the playoffs because you can't just turn it on. And Dak Prescott's in a slump. Dak Prescott's in a slump. Well, if he was in a slump, is it safe to say that he's out of that? That the extra work that he put in with the wide receivers got them all back together? That maybe now that they're not playing those 3 games in 12 days and then 3 games on the road, and that we're starting to get people back healthy, because we had Amari Cooper, who was out with COVID for a couple of games. That we had CeeDee Lamb, who had a concussion, missed a game and a half. That we have Zeke Elliott now, who was wearing braces on his knees, running like Forrest. Run, Forrest, run. And then we got Tony Pollard back. And that Michael Gallup's gotten into a swing. And now that we have all these weapons that are out there, just missing the jar, that maybe all of a sudden the Cowboys, the talking heads out there, have awakened a sleeping giant. Not the New York Giants, because they're ass. And Pizzle, you welched on the bet, buddy. You welched on the bet. We going to dance, Pizzle. We going to dance, son. I hate to take you to the woodshed, son, but I'm going to take you to the woodshed. But I'm going to do that later. I want you to understand a couple of things here. As much as they said the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott sucked, understand that a season is collective. You're going to have some games where, you're Josh Allen and you score 6 points against the Jags. You're going to have some games that you don't play well, like Kyler Murray the last few, or even like Matthew Stafford yesterday throwing, 3 interceptions? You're going to have those, but you take everything in a season in totality. A couple of things that you want to have your team doing well, and the Cowboys are beginning to do that right now. One of the biggest keys out there is takeaways and giveaways. The Dallas Cowboys are second in the NFL in turnover differential, meaning how many times we've given the ball away versus how many times we've taken the ball away. That's either a plus or a minus. And when we look at the list, Green Bay is plus 16. They don't turn the ball over at all, and they're getting the ball. We're plus 14, tied with the Indianapolis Colts. Then you've got the Cardinals at 10. You got Buffalo at 10, Minnesota at 9, Tampa Bay at 8, New England at 7, Denver at 3, Houston Texans at 3, and so on. But then when you look at the other side of the list, like the Eagles are 0. Steelers -1, Cincinnati -2, Miami Dolphins -2, Giants -3, San Francisco -4, Atlanta -5. What you see is you don't see playoff teams. Jacksonville Jaguars -19. You don't typically see playoff teams in the negative category on there. For us to be second, that's key. We're not giving the opposition extra opportunities to score. Let's go to some of the other statistics. As much as they trashed the Dallas Cowboys offense and Dak Prescott, somehow, some way, the Dallas Cowboys are the highest scoring offense in the NFL. Not the Kansas City Chiefs, not the GOAT and Tom Brady. No, the Dallas Cowboys are the highest scoring team in the NFL. Numero uno. Regardless of what you say about Zeke Elliott being overpaid and crippled and a shadow of himself, regardless of you guys saying that garbage time Dak Prescott or dink and dunk or Trashcott, regardless of saying Kellen Moore sucks as a offensive coordinator and Mike McCarthy can't manage the clock, the Dallas Cowboys score more points than any other team in the NFL. That's the list. That's it. That's all. And add to that, they have more yards than any other team. I don't care what team you talk about. They're behind the Dallas Cowboys offense. And take that into consideration, those few games that we talked about, that the Cowboys were in a slump. And they're still beating everyone. Defense. Scoring defense. Points they've given up. They're seventh in the NFL. Seventh in the NFL. Not bad for a defense that was 28th last year. They have jumped up 21 points, and boy, do we need that. Remember in the beginning of the season, we said if we could just get to the top 15 in defense with our offense, we'd be okay. We're top 10, and we're trending up as we have, as Micah Parsons says, the Lions. Maybe it's the Lions' den. Because the way they go after the quarterback now, seeing D-Law getting an interception, we saw Randy Gregory getting pick six. Randy Gregory getting an interception, the hits on the quarterback, the pressures, the hurries, and now you see, of course, the interceptions and the takeaways. Diggs tying the Dallas Cowboys all-time record of Emerson Walls of 11 in one season and still has 2 more games left. Micah Parsons, 1.5 sacks away from the rookie record. Still 2 games to go. Now, granted, Curse only had 16 games. So, Micah, I'd like to get 2 next week on Kyler Murray. Can you do that? This is amazing where we were. And, oh, by the way, number 1 at taking away the football. And that's not just because of this game. That's when you take the Tampa Bay game. That's when you take the Chargers game. That's when you take the New England Patriots game, the Minnesota Vikings, the Giants, the Eagles, the Washington games, the Raiders games. You take all of those games and all of those numbers, all of those things are what built this resume, the good and the bad. And there's not a team out there that has everything perfect by no stretch of the imagination. But if the talking heads talk about a December to remember, oh, the Cowboys, they're losing games, as they said yesterday, the Cowboys in the month of December, 4-0. 4-0. No losses in December. And 3 of those games on the road. Doesn't sound too bad right there, does it? This team seems to be getting its stride. And going into yesterday, there was concern, of course. Dalton Schultz got hit, got jacked up, was on the field for a bit, but he's okay. I think we only had 1 injury for the game. I think only 1. I'm trying to remember who that was. Francis Bernard. Francis Bernard was the only injury reported, and he'll be checked out today. So when you say the 2 things that we wanted to get, a victory and get out without getting injuries, we seem to do that. The complete annihilation of Washington, the literally giving them no hope, to literally make them fight each other on the sidelines, well, that's just icing on the cake. I mean, that's just a cherry on top. That's just a little extra that we got for doing that. But shout out to the Dallas Cowboys being NFC East champions, currently being the number 2 seed and getting some momentum as this season goes downhill. Now, the Eagles, of course, keep telling us that the Cowboys are scared of them. Eagles, you might want to be scared of the Cowboys. Just saying. I think this game was a message to the NFL. We're the Dallas Cowboys, and you guys have awakened a sleeping giant. Now let's see what they had to say this morning. I have not heard Get Up this morning, but I want to hear what they have to say about the Dallas Cowboys on Get Up. I'm betting that they're going to say, it wasn't really that big a win. It was just Washington.
There you go. That's too far. Hey, Jenna is going to feel a little bit better, so I'm going to take over the news reading responsibilities here. We're going to start with Washington Cowboys. Dak looked great. Zeke looked great. Dallas looked bad. Washington looked bad, and Washington looked so bad, Broussard, They're fighting each other on the sidelines. Do you think that this performance proves that Dallas is the team to beat in the NFC?
All right, Wilds. I accuse Nick of being a prisoner of the moment. Last segment about Mac Jones, he shot back. But I think he may be a prisoner of the moment this time. I'm not sure what he's going to say about the Cowboys, but if he says yes, they're the team to beat, they're the class of the NFC, then he's a prisoner of the moment. Sure. Yesterday, it was all good. All right, they looked tremendous.
Here we go.
Ezekiel Elliott,
Haterade.
more pop than he's had in 2 months. I know he only had like 40 yards rushing, but still, he ran the ball well. I'll give him that. The defense, spectacular as it has been being just about every week. They're getting takeaways left and right. DeMarcus Lawrence, what a play on the interception and the pick six. Yeah, he was fantastic. And Dak was great. But here's the problem, America.
Here's the problem. Here we go.
You were playing the Washington football team. The Washington football team that is bottom 3 in scoring defense. Everybody has a heyday, a field day against them. That was bottom 3 in pass defense. And here's the thing. I'm a Dak fan. I like Dak Prescott, all right? But he still has yet to show. He beat another team that has a losing record. We know what the challenge is for Dak. Beat the good teams. And Washington, for all their surprises here and there and all the games they've been competitive in, and Taylor Heineke, all his magic here and there, they're not a good football team.
Oh, here we go.
All right, so they beat up on a bad to mediocre squad yesterday. Dak does that. He throws for 300 plus and a bunch of TDs against bad and mediocre squads. So, Nick, they look good. But I'm not putting them above Tampa. I'm not putting them above Green Bay. And the Rams are dangerous. If you want to put them with the Rams, okay, maybe, but not above the 2 Bays.
So let me defend the win yesterday for just a moment, because this is something similar that is done to my Chiefs, which is a team that is a decent to kind of good team when it doesn't play you, gets downgraded to an awful team because you beat them so soundly. So that's what I'm doing. The Raiders are 8-5 this year when they don't play the Chiefs. But when they play the Chiefs, they're 0-2 and they get their teeth kicked in, so people think they're an awful team. Same thing happens with Washington. Washington is 7-6 this year when they don't play Dallas. But when they do play Dallas, they get their teeth kicked in. So the Cowboys were not yesterday playing the Jaguars. They were playing a real NFL team, even if it's not a great NFL team. An NFL team that, had they won, would, I believe, be tied for the 7th seed this morning in the NFC. Do I think the Cowboys are the team to beat in the NFC? I won't go that far because of this, Broussard. I don't trust Mike McCarthy, and post-injury, and I'm not talking about the broken leg, I'm talking about the calf injury he suffered in the Tampa Bay game, or in the New England game, pardon me. Dak, aside from last night, has been shaky. However, what I will say is this. I do think they have right now the highest upside of any team in the NFC, because their offense can score with Green Bay or Tampa, and their defense flatly is better than Green Bay's and Tampa's. They have elite playmakers at every level of the defense. Gregory and Lawrence on the D-line. Micah Parsons is your do-it-all linebacker or D-lineman if you want to put him on the edge. And once again, Trayvon Diggs has a monster play early in the game that got the ball rolling for them. So my Super Bowl pick, Broussard, was Packers-Chiefs. I will leave the Packers where they are. However, if we're being fair, the Packers have been shaky the last couple of weeks. I understand they've won and they've beaten ostensibly decent teams in Baltimore and Cleveland, but I haven't liked how the Packers have closed those games. I haven't liked how the Packers defense has looked in those games. And the Cowboys, meanwhile, if they are healthy and rolling, they feel as dangerous as any team in the conference. It's hard to elevate them because Dak versus Brady or Dak versus Rodgers, and I don't trust McCarthy at all. But because of how great the defense can be and the skill on offense, I do think they have the highest upside in the NFC. That's what I'll give them.
Well, the talent is incredible. I mean, you mentioned it on defense, and we thought this would happen with Dan Quinn. Maybe not this good. I mean, this is a little better than expected. But when Dan Quinn came in as the defensive coordinator, I expected this type of turnaround. I thought Micah Parsons would be very good. Didn't know he'd do this as a rookie. So I'll give you that. But like I said, my question, Nick, is Dak. And I'm a guy that has ridden for Dak, all right? But he does have to beat the good teams. And Washington's a pretty good team. They're not bad, mediocre to pretty good. All right, but I don't want to make them out to be one of the juggernauts of the NFC.
Mediocre or to pretty good.
That's right. Team in the NFC. But look, Dallas did what you should do against these types of teams, right? They went out there and destroyed them, and obviously to a further extent wiles than we thought they would. It just all came together yesterday, but like Nick said, Dak has not been good since the calf injury. That was really his first breakout game. So let's see him do that over the next couple of weeks heading into the playoffs, and then maybe I'll believe a little bit more in them.
Oh, boy.
All right, Broussard, the other big piece of news out of this game was the sideline fight.
Oh, let's talk. Okay, I was going to end it, but let's get through
punch
it.
that didn't land between Washington players. Do you think this is a big deal or not a big deal? There's a theory out there that if this game was closer, we would just move on. I don't subscribe to that at all. I think that punch was like very close to landing. Maybe it missed on purpose, but I thought this was a big deal. The guys afterwards said, no, not a big deal. You know, it just happens. What was your take on the punch that wasn't?
Look, now, like you said, that was a heck of a punch. I mean, if that lands,
no helmet on there.
Really get interesting. But I don't think it was a big deal, Wilds. I think this type of stuff happens. These guys have been teammates back since they played at Alabama together. So obviously they know each other well. I just think it was frustration. I played basketball in college, Division III. So
I tell you what, that could be something that's been carried on since college. You never know. Somebody might have gotten somebody's girlfriend or something like that. And when things go down, you remember some of it and say, that punk ass blank the blank mother humper. And you decide to let your emotions take control. I don't know. Glad it's not my problem to tow, but I feel good about our team. But of course, like I said, you see here what they're doing. You see what they're doing. I don't know that they are on the level of a Tampa Bay or a Green Bay, but we've seen those guys have problems. Green Bay this week had the Browns just continue to run the ball at 8.5 yards per carry. For some reason, Kevin Stefanski decides, okay, we've been running the football all night long. My quarterbacks had 3 interceptions. We only need 15 yards to kick the game-winning field goal, so let's put it back in the quarterback's hands. What the hell are you thinking? That's how close it was to Green Bay losing to the Browns. They got 4 takeaways and still only won by 2 points. But hey, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with the Dallas Cowboys getting what they always get, which is a whole lot of hate. In the meantime and in between time, I've got some work to do in the workshop, and then I got to make a trip down to my cousin's house. Cousin, are you ready? Are you ready? You know I'm coming. All right, with that being said, you know how we roll. We appreciate you, as always.
Our coach here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe for the Sports Report.
You did one hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to